Welcome back to Parents Corner. Today we are on the next week of our Beatitude study. We have just a few more weeks of that left, and then we're going to be moving into Advent, and we're going to be talking about the Christmas story and the lessons that we can learn from the Christmas story. But today we are looking at the next Beatitude, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Now, this can be something that's really difficult for our kids to internalize, especially for younger kids, because their instinct is to just force everything to be fair. And the easiest way for them to do that is to be harsh. They'll rip toys out of each other's hands or push each other out of the way on the playground. Don't mind the whining sound you hear. I brought my dog to work today. Anyway, they'll do these horrible things to each other. You've seen toddlers interact. They kind of have this sense of like instant justice. And as they get older, they still have this instinct, but they kind of refine it a little bit. They'll make these snarky comments to one another or purposely leave someone out from a birthday party or a play date or something. I mean, I've been to school pick up my kids from school, and I've actually heard other kids saying, well, you're not invited. I mean, they are facing these kinds of extreme levels of social pressure to be mean to one another. I know we'd love to think that that movie Mean Girls is just this overly dramatized version of school, but it is a reality that our kids are facing. They are facing people being rude, people being snarky. And, I know sometimes my kids act like this too without even realizing the harm that they can be causing to other kids. I mean, I've heard my own son make the same harsh comments and not even think anything of it. And the saddest part is when I hear him saying these things, sometimes I'm even hearing my words coming out of his mouth. Oops. I mean, that one really hit home big time when I realized that he was making some of the same sarcastic comments that I make. And I'm just like, you better dial that back. And I realized that they're not just learning to be harsh from their classmates and their friends, they're learning it from me too. I mean, just last night, I was tired and I was probably had a much shorter temper than I should have with my kids. And we're human. It happens. But we can always try and do better, and we can teach our kids to try and do better too. I love this because in our curriculum this week, they had a story about two kids who had a misunderstanding over a toy. And this is obviously two younger kids. And the owner of the toy could have lashed out at his friend and just been like, "That's mine, give it back." But instead, he decided to show mercy. And he talked about how, I know that you love this toy, but it is mine and I will need it back. And so he showed mercy, but he still held his friend accountable. And that's what's so important for us to realize here. Showing mercy doesn't mean that we just let our kids walk all over us. And it doesn't mean that we teach our kids to let their classmates or their friends walk all over them. It's about holding people accountable in a kind way. And like it seems like I'm saying this, I say this a lot. It's not easy, it's like every time I do a parents corner, it's like this is not easy. I really wish that Staples had made an easy button for parenting because I could really use one. I don't know about you, but I could really use one. And as with everything, all of this starts at home. And when I say we, a lot of times I mean me, we need to help our kids to learn this behavior. And we definitely cannot do it in a do as I say, not as I do kind of environment. You know, we really need to model this behavior too. And I know a lot of us feel like, are we even reaching our kids? Are we even getting through to them? But in reality, parents are some of the strongest voices that they hear. When people go back and talk about their childhood, the people who come up the most are their parents. And it may take years for them to fully understand or even acknowledge the influence that we have on them, but it is there. And it is so important. So we can teach them what merciful accountability is about, and it's something that we really need to do so. So that is something that I'm going to work on. I should have read this curriculum before I was grumpy last night, but that is something that I'm going to work on this week, and I hope that you do too.